All right, welcome to episode 4 of the Extraordinary Podcast. Today's subject is about how financial literacy is very similar to exercise literacy, and there are so many commonalities between those two traits in people that I think some of us are really good at our finances, but we're not very good at our exercise and physicality elements of it. Some are both bad at both. And I want to share a little bit of a story with you to help you understand why I might have this sudden fascination with financials and why I think it ties so tightly into physicality. At the moment, I'm reading a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. It was one of the first books I bought back in 2020 when I first took this sort of reading obsession that I have now, but I have never read it. And I think the reason why I've always been so scared is that I, for the last 3 years, have been financially bankrupt. I had to go bankrupt in 2001 because I didn't pay a tax return or do any tax for, I think it was 5 or 6 years, or even maybe even longer. And I ended up with a tax bill of over $90,000. I then had my mum, once I finally did some bookkeeping, had my mum then start paying my tax debt off for me so that I could actually chip away at that tax debt. But all that did was transfer my tax debt from the ATO to my mum, and I ended up $30,000 in debt to her after I'd already filed for bankruptcy. Obviously, I could wipe the remainder of the tax bill from the ATO, but I could never pay back my mum the whole amount in this lifetime. So we got financially literate around that time, Madison and myself, and I'm very lucky that she stayed with me at that point, and she said this is a team effort, and we were able to pay off my mum in 2 years. I think we owed $30,000 and we paid that off. No, it must have been in 3 years. So I think I've been bankrupt for 5. Yep, bankrupt for 5. Must be what it is. Bankrupt for 5. We paid her off in 3. Mum off in 3. Long story short, it's the first time I'm going to get a tax return in a very long time. Fingers crossed, hopefully, because they might still take it away, because apparently you never get cleared from the ATO. But anyway, that's the point. Back to my story, though, is I've always been physically literate to an extent. I've always been able to prioritize exercise, prioritize fitness, understood how to eat. Sometimes I eat well, sometimes I don't. You guys who've known me long enough will notice sometimes I get fat, sometimes I don't. But now I'm getting really serious. As I get to 37 years old, it is time for me to really start to understand financials. And I feel like I'm in a position now where I feel comfortable with how I manage money, how I manage finances. And we even have a bookkeeper and a business mentor who help me run Fast Strength and Conditioning because of the fact that I have such high insecurities about my capabilities and abilities to succeed outside of programming and the exercise elements that I've been trained in for so long. Knowing how to run finances and be in business is something that I'm super amateur at, or feel like I was amateur at, but now I'm getting good at it because I've put in that hard work. And that ties me into why financials and exercise have such a close tie to each other. Now, as I was reading this book, I came across a little section here called anyone's ever read this book, it's Overcoming Obstacles. Now, what I found is the opening of this chapter looks like this. It says the primary difference between a rich person and a poor person is how they manage fear. And I feel like that ties into the same thing. The difference between a fit person and an unfit person is how they manage fear of starting to exercise and taking the journeys and the steps required to be successful in their fitness journey. It says once people have studied and become financially literate, they may still face roadblocks to becoming financially independent. That rule applies to physicality as well. That rule applies to exercise. Continue. There are 5 main reasons why financially literate people may still not develop abundant asset columns that could produce a large cash flow. The 5 reasons are, forget that. The main reason why people will stick to or fall off of a fitness journey is because of fear, cynicism, laziness, bad habits, or arrogance. So the first thing I want to cover off is fear. That is the number one thing that we see from most people. They are scared of success. They set themselves up permanently to not succeed. See this all the time. It's scary to exercise. They're not the fittest person in the room. We just had someone just recently, or we see this all the time actually. Let's take a step back. The way that you succeed the most when pursuing a change of fitness or taking the steps in a fitness journey is by putting your ego aside and not being scared to fail. Failure is a way to learn. Now, the thing with physicality compared to finances is when you lose money, you could lose big, you could lose it all. And all of the rich people tell you they've lost big before and they've come back and blah, blah, blah. There's a story in here about how, Robert Kiyosaki's rich dad lost a heap of money. And that's cool. Money can return, and so can your ego, so can your I'm trying to think about what happens, like, when you do something silly in front of other people and then they notice it. Like, that stuff can all return. But the thing is, you do a fitness journey for 2 or 3 times that week and you realize just how far behind you are. And you get scared of how far you've got to go to catch up to those people that are already ahead of you. One of the biggest things as a coach that really sort of touches on a nerve when people say that sort of thing is you're letting something as simple as fear step in the way of your successes. And really the only thing that you should be scared of is where you sit in regards to a social hierarchy of other people that are fit. But those people don't care where you are because they've also had the same fears and they've overcome them. They want to see you succeed. In fact, we say that, but they don't care whether you do or don't succeed because they're on their own journey trying to succeed anyway. So by letting your own fear step in your way, either whether it comes to finances or it comes to fitness, is really just a matter of you having to put that fear aside and have the courage to go and chase and pursue what you want. So if you're scared on either side of those boats, scared of failure, scared of not knowing enough, scared of not knowing anything at all, scared to learn more, you are literally holding yourself back in the mind purely based on an opinion of yourself that you can change instantly. I have on my left arm here a saying. It says, fear is met and destroyed by courage. And I 100% believe that fear should never hold you back from making something of yourself or pursuing the goal or the dream that you want. So that's the first thing. If you want physical fitness success, just like in financial success, you've got to dream big, you've got to step out. And I think Robert Kiyosaki puts it in here. You got to dream Texas big. If you're going to lose, make sure you lose big because you never want to be the one who lost everything over a duplex. And I thought that was quite funny and quite humorous, that instead of something like a duplex, you're going to lose everything over a set of apartment blocks or something like that, which is kind of it, right? Like, what are you scared of? What's holding you back? Now, cynicism. Step number 2, the thing that holds somebody back is cynicism. Cynicism is self-doubt. Cynicism is, I'm not good enough, it's not good enough, nothing about that's good enough. It's a negative mindset, it's a negative thought process. That kind of ties into the same thing as fear, because if you fear something, you're going to find a way to justify your own self-doubts. Fitness is for anybody, but unfortunately, because of cynicism, it's not for everybody. We all want to be better. We all want to have better physical capabilities. We just let our own negative thought process tell us that we're not good enough, that it's not good enough, nothing about that's good enough, there's something wrong with that thing. And that happens so much with a big system like Vast Strength and Conditioning has, something that really is specifically designed to make you have to step outside your comfort zone. Like, we purposefully put you in a position to expose your vulnerabilities. We put you in a room with people who are better than you, who might, on that day, you've got people that every different workout, someone could be better than you at the workout. You are constantly humbled. You have to, every class, put your score on the whiteboard so everybody sees what you did, whether it's a success or a failure. It's up to you. You decide. It's no good or bad, but thinking makes it so. And that's where cynicism needs to change. When it comes to finances, people always like to put out there that the reason why you shouldn't buy stocks is, what if there's a crash? You shouldn't buy real estate because it's a bad time. And Robert Kiyosaki talks about that in this book, that if you ever talk to anybody who is poor, he calls them poor people, who are cynics about investing, they're always going to tell you stuff that really just isn't true. I had a lady once who joined the gym and she was a smoker. And a friend of hers told her that smokers with hypertension and heart disease shouldn't exercise because it could cause them to have a heart attack. That level of cynicism stopped that person from training, because the reality is that the way that you stop hypertension and heart disease is you exercise, you stop smoking, you eat well, you prioritize your health and fitness. But instead, this lady said, why would you do that when the good thing can actually cause you to die? That person's never returned. As far as I'm aware, that person is still the same. And they would be exactly the same as if you were trying to organize your finances. Somebody tells you, don't buy stocks, don't buy anything that will set you up. Don't buy real estate, don't buy assets. Instead, just put it in a savings account, don't touch it, put it in a mattress. There's no growth, there's no nothing. And all of a sudden, all you've got is a big wad of cash underneath your bed. Or worse, you had a big wad of cash underneath your bed and you went and bought a TV, or you went and bought a car, or you went and spent it on a bill. You went and did something like that because the cynicism in you told you not to do something that could actually see you succeed in the long run. And that happens with people's fitness journeys all the time. We let our own self-doubts get into our heads. Why bother? I'm here anyway. I may as well just stay where I am. And that's holding us back. You've got to overcome that. So step one, we've got to overcome our fear. Step two, we've got to overcome our cynicism. Get in and get after it. Step number three, Robert Kiyosaki says, laziness. 100%. Where finances and fitness both fit into this window is that there are so many people who fail a fitness journey because of their own laziness. They can't get out of bed in the morning because they're tired. They can't train after work because they're tired. Sick. When are you supposed to train? During work, when you're tired. They don't put the time aside. They just flat out are lazy. And the same thing happens if you want to be rich or financially secure or financially set up, to if you want to be poor. You've got to work hard. I think we did a podcast a little while ago in the old one that we did, and I said how being in a calorie deficit or a calorie surplus is very similar to saving money. When you're in a calorie deficit, i.e. you're eating high quality foods at a lower quantity that's going to help you burn fat, you have the luxury to dip into that every now and then. You can have a piece of cake or a couple of glasses of wine with a girlfriend, or you can slip up on your diet a lot more often if you have this deficit that would be almost equivalent to having savings. If you take the hit when it comes to your finances and have conscious spending habits and not constantly splurge or binge on certain things, you will have money saved in the bank. That means that when things do arise, similar to the chocolate cake, similar to the wine with the girls, you can afford to splurge a little bit, taking money from your savings to do the thing that's going to be meaningful for you. See how they work? You can have your cake and eat it too. You just have to be conscious in how you eat over a longer period of time. Exactly the same thing as being conscious in how you spend over a longer period of time to be able to splurge on the things that you truly want. If you constantly splurge with food or constantly splurge on purchasing products, you're going to be exactly where you are all the time. And I think the 80-20 rule is the lazy man's justification for lazy behaviors that keep them where they are. You do 80-20, there is no fucking way. Actually, Pareto's law tells us about 80-20. And the 80-20 is that 80% of what we do will give us 20% of the result. 20% of what we do will give us 80% of the result. So if you think about that, the 20% of the slip-ups that fuck you up, who stop you from getting the results that you want, is you binge eating over calories by a very large amount, which means that you actually aren't just binging for the 80%. Like, that's going to throw you way off if you do that every day. You can easily be over 100% of your calorie count if you do the 80-20 rule every day. Or worse, you will just stay the same because you will always hit 100% of your calorie count because you're 80-20. It doesn't work. It does not work, and it is lazy to think that that does work. And the same thing happens with your spending. You have to be conscious over a long period of time and work hard. It has to be difficult. Nothing great came without sacrifice. Sam Witwicky from Transformers, his great-grandfather's motto says that, and that's what you should be sticking with. Not being lazy. You need to work hard to achieve what you want, whether it's in finances or it is in fat loss results or it's a fitness journey. It doesn't work if you be lazy. It has to be hard, and all the things that are hard make it worth its while. Number 4 is bad habits. A lot of people who are not achieving fitness results have bad habits. They sleep late, they don't get up early, they press the snooze button. It is those habits that keep them where they are that is keeping them where they are. If the definition of madness is if you do the same thing over and over and over again and expect a different result, you've got to stop with the bad habits. And the good thing about bad habits is that it's not hard actually to create good habits. You know what they are, you just have to do them. You know that you have to eat more vegetables, drink more water, you have to exercise once a day, sometimes twice maybe, who knows, whatever you want to do. Reading books helps us with self-development. Being gratuitous helps us sleep better. Finances is no different, and fat loss is no different. If we just have bad habits, like buying a coffee every day, you have coffee at home. You can choose to drink the coffee at home. The $30 that you are spending every week on the coffee is declining your finances. The chocolate that you have to eat at 10 o'clock every day, or the biscuit with that coffee every day, is a bad habit. Snoozing on your alarm every morning because you're tired is a bad habit. You set a goal. Not only are you lazy now, but you have a bad habit of pressing snooze. So first of all, you were lazy by not wanting to get out of bed. Now your bad habit is that you don't get out of bed. Or your bad habit is that you go home, sit on the couch before you put your shoes on to go back out of the gym. Just pack your shit and come to the gym. Have a good habit. Be prepared. Be ready. Get rid of those bad habits. I see this on both sides all the time. And I'm not a financial expert. Like I just really read this and I thought, wow, this really sits exactly with how my head sits with achieving goals and results in a fitness journey. That if you can stomp out bad habits, whatever they might be, we all have our own bad habits too, for the record. Some of us, it's I have a bad habit of wanting to drink from sort of like Friday afternoon and Saturday afternoon, and then Sundays I wake up and I'm like, all right, it's just, I'm 37 years old and I come from a drinking class culture in my family that just is the way that life's been for a very long time. And I have a friend, he said, beer's never the problem. Remember, you always come crawling back. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Like, it's a bad relationship. It's a bad habit. So if it's something I've either got to break if I want to achieve greatness in my physicality, and you'll have your own. You will have your own. It might be that you love chocolate in the cupboard or the fridge. Maybe you have to eat Cocoa Pops for breakfast. I don't think that anyone's that bad who's watching this, but you know what your bad habits are. With those, you are sabotaging your own results. And that same thing is happening with your finances. Whatever those bad habits are, online shopping, having to have something whenever you've got a spare amount of cash, finding a reason to spend it. You know, the bad habits that you have in finances are probably the bad habits that you still carry across to your fitness, and you're probably not achieving what you want in both of those. You could have both. You just have to make sure you're prioritizing good habits over bad habits. And that's exactly why a book like Atomic Habits by James Clear was so successful, because we all know we have bad habits. We just want to know how to break them, and then that's how we do it. We find out what the good thing is, and we do that more often. And then the last point inside of here is arrogance. And what I like, there was a saying in here, it says, arrogance leads to ignorance. Thinking that we're fine. Thinking that we are okay. The problem with the current society doesn't matter, can't find this thing. But the problem with current society is it is telling us that we are okay to be who we are. I mean, that is true. It is true. Not everybody has to be more than what they are, but we are in a time where we have more opportunities and more possibilities than any other generation has had before. You are able to watch this video to pump up your tires to make a change. Right now at 7:43 in the morning on a Wednesday, I'm filming this for you to be able to hear my take and my views. To think that you are exactly where you want to be would be absolute madness. The arrogance that you think you are exactly where you want to be is wrong, because A, you're watching this video, so you obviously want to self-develop yourself and make sure that you are becoming better. And B, we all have that opportunity. We all have that chance. We can be better humans. We have that opportunity. Technology allows it. The access to books allows it. Education allows it. Whether it's the right or the wrong, and you can argue about that, because that never used to be a conversation. Now we can have a conversation about whether the education we're achieving is right and what's wrong and who's good and who's bad and all those sort of things. That's opportunity. Educating ourselves and making sure that we're not ignorant to how to get what we want is a key to success. And if we think we're already there, we're probably wrong. Have the confidence to say that you are not always right and that you are always and you are constantly developing yourself in a positive manner. That same thing goes for, really what we teach with the fitness journey here is that you are never, if you're arrogant and think you're already there, you are wrong. There will be something that will pop up that will humble you. Somebody else will humble you. As fit as some people think that our athletes are here, we aren't even world tier in regards to, none of us are semi-final athletes in the CrossFit Games for the record, so none of us have made it past the quarterfinals. This year, I think our highest finishes were like 93rd percentile or something in the Open. We might be quarterfinals and we're top 10% in that regard, but above that, we are not the top 1% of the whole CrossFit community for those who even do that sport. The arrogance would be to say that we are, or that we're already there, that we don't need to concern ourselves with getting better. Every day we need to get better. Every day I believe I need to get better. I don't have the arrogance or the ignorance to say that I'm not getting better, and I want you to have the same thing for your finances and also for your fitness journey. For your fitness journey, the way that you put that aside is that every day you pick something to learn. We have that system, the learn, build, execute, and that's a vicious cycle. You're going to learn something, you're going to build on that thing, and then you're going to execute that thing, and we're going to come all the way back around. I love learning. Knowledge is one of our new values, which we haven't released yet, but I love to share that sort of thing with you, and that's where this podcasting / video, me ranting, telling you everything that I believe in, comes from, is being able to share that knowledge with you. I still don't think I know it all. I'm constantly learning, hence why I'm still reading and sharing that knowledge with you, and I want to keep it rolling for as long as possible. So to wrap it up, whether it's finances or fitness, I believe that both of these, what Robert Kiyosaki is saying and what I'm telling you about your fitness journey, is if you let these 5 things get in your way, you are not allowing yourself to overcome those obstacles, and you need to step over the top of them. So get rid of your fear, get rid of your cynicism, get rid of your laziness, can your bad habits, and get rid of your arrogance. VSC is here to help you become more than ordinary, but to become extraordinary, just that little bit extra above those that keep you held down. You're the average of the 5 people you hang around the most. Make sure that you are one of those people that you hang around. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got something out of this. Let me know in the comment section below. Send me a message to myself personally if you watch this. I don't even know who is watching this, so let me know. But your finances, your fitness, they're very tightly related, and I'd love to talk to you some more about this. So hit me up if you need to. All right, I'm out. Good job. Well done. See you on the next episode.